Hello again, my friends. We are doing a knife review today, that's right. I've got some time between puppy stuff to show you about a knife, or a few knives really. I'm going to shoot a few videos over the next few days that I've been playing with. So this one is from Kizer. Kizer got me in a moment of weakness where I was sitting around thinking, geez, I haven't bought a knife in ages, but also, geez, I've got no money because we've just spent about $10,000 on dogs. So yeah, I took the offer and they said, hey, go on the website and name a couple that you're interested in. So I went on the website and I chose the Squidward, was one of the ones I chose because, well, look at it. It's a knife that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like from looking at it because it's got the elements that I like. It's, you know, I'm not gonna go and get myself a big hockey puck shaped, what's that one they do? I often make a joke that Kizer is like the Netflix of knives. They just green light everything. You come to them with this, hey Kizer, I've got this, and they're just like,
I shouldn't. Do it.
So there is a lot that Kizer make that I am most certainly not interested in. So luckily I could sort of sculpt my destiny just a little bit. So I chose the Squidward first because it is a front flipper. It is a very sort of plain, modest looking knife, and it's made of a decent steel and just ticked all the boxes for what I would usually choose or buy for myself. So that is the review we're getting today. Of course, if it sucks, I'll let you know. I don't have a great love for, you know, me and Kizer aren't married now, so I'm not too bothered if they break off the friendship after a couple of the knife reviews don't go down so well. But spoilers, this one's gonna be fine because as you can see, it's a pretty peat knife there, isn't it? So let's do steel testing. Let's do just some general use, and we'll draw some conclusions and we'll show it off. Had a chicken die yesterday, just ancient, one of my first ones. So it would have been about a 6-year-old hen. So she finally died yesterday, and I'm just composting her. So I've been composting the dog and the cat poop lately, as well as just other compost stuff. But I'm going to give it a bit of a kick in the pants with some more worms and a soaked up Koya brick. So that's the plan today. A makeshift funeral gathering for the sister who was fallen. She's just already buried in the compost heap there. Here are a 154 cm blade. You've got a liner lock here. You've got a ball bearing type system making a front flipping action very, very easy and successful. You've got some milled liners. You've got a deep carry pocket clip, and that is about all she wrote. It's a simple appearance knife. It's sort of the only embellishment really is this white G10 pivot collar there, and the rest of it is just a G10 you know, to a relatively nice polish, not a great deal of grip to it. The black wash coating there is purely for aesthetics because 154 cm steel is of course stainless, but there you go, it sort of makes for a slim little black, you know, somewhere between a gentleman style knife and just your basic EDC fidget toy. So my use with the Squidward has been, well, I've been a puppy parent for the last 2 weeks now, and that involves cutting open lots of things, preparing little bits and bobs of dog treats. Young Hilda is a connoisseur of dog treats. She likes even for the treat times. Unfortunately, not the little hard, drier things that we're supposed to use. She likes wet food in little cubes, so I'm always carrying around a little sealed container of wet dog food, which every now and then will fall open in my pocket, and by the end of the day, I fucking stink. So that's how I am sort of traveling at the moment. I have just recently found some little fishy, slightly squishy, but still harder ones that aren't messy, but they stink even worse. So there is just no way around me being a stinky bastard for the next probably month or so while we're doing foundation training on both dogs. Yeah. And so yeah, as such, it's actually had a lot of legitimate use. I use my pocket knife for a whole bunch of stuff. Even when I'm in my kitchen, it's usually the knife that is still closest to me. I don't have to go and get it out the dishwasher or a drawer. So most of my packet opening and most of my rudimentary food prep is often done with my pocket knife. That being said, for the videos, I often will go and prepare a whole meal or two just to sort of get a really good handle and some good use footage of the knife too. So that's also what's going on too.
And now my favorite part of the video, preparing a full meal using a knife that is way too small for it, to get some good Ks on the knife. So let's do it. Beef stroganoff time.
Now, during use of the knife, I've noticed it's a good slicer, especially with my redone edge on it. And yeah, the deployment and the comfort and the general usability of it are high. These small knives can often be a little bit unwieldy, especially the ones with short blades or blades that are shallow or not very tall. Kizer have done right. They've gone with thin stock, relatively thin stock. You wouldn't want it any thicker though, and a decently tall, flat sort of saber type grind. I would always prefer a hollow grind and as thin a stock as you can get on a knife that isn't very tall this way. But this is about the mid-level. It's about what makes it good rather than being great. But no problems presented to me while I was using it at all. In terms of general manufacture, well, I've never had an issue with the Kizer being manufactured in a bad way. I've always had good experiences with Kizer. I have a soft spot for the company. They were sort of the first, they were before We Knife. They were the first company that you could get like a relatively cost-effective, super premium feeling knife from without having to go to Chris Reeve. Back in like the mid 2010s, remember when Benchmade's knives were really like sort of rickety and had really bad fit and finish? And they were like $100 more than a Kizer. And Spyderco's, for a Kizer money, you'd get like a rudimentary, FRN and VG10 Spyderco. No knocking on that, but Kizer, you could always get something really nice in titanium and S35 VN for less than Benchmade and about the same price as basic Spyderco. So I've always had a soft spot, especially since the Kizer Gemini all those years ago was sort of maybe one of the first really nice titanium flipper knives I've got when they were all the rage. So I have always had something of an appreciation for the company's manufacture skills at the very least. It's just the designs, there's just so many of them, and they basically let most folks who ask make a design, so to speak. So you sometimes do have to sift a bit to get the stuff that you want. So this one is designed by a surname, I'm assuming Azo. I have done no research on who this person is or what other knives he has designed, but it's kind of Lundquisty, which is the sort of design language that I like. Sort of, thin, stick-like handles, often front flippers, small blades, takes up very little room in the pocket. I like it a lot. What would I need to tell you about this one? What else? It's been a minute between bloody drinks for reviews. I've got baby brain, but for a dog. Bloody stupid. I can't focus on anything because I'm always sort of helicopter parenting this bloody dog to make sure it doesn't shit inside. But anyway, all of that's just part of it. And that's going to be over a lot sooner than if we'd done the other sort of, I guess, what is it? Midlife relationship thing where you have another baby. No, that's where we were good. We were good on that. So anyway, I'm scattered. So this guy will cost you, well, I don't even know how much it will cost you. Giggity, let's have sex. All right, let's do the steel test portion. I'll show me resharpening it and testing the 154 cm steel. Alrighty, the old 154 cm. We're doing my sharpening inside because I have a puppy that if I'm in the shed, she'll wake up and start eating the wall.
So she's asleep now, so we're going to get a quick sharpening done and do a steel test on the old 154 cm. One of those steels still held in quite a high regard, I think because it's sort of like an America steel and it's bench-made steel. Well, not anymore, but people still seem to like it, and I was actually surprised to see it on a Kizer. I mean, sort of to go to the effort of diversifying your steel when you're making all your knives like in overseas, it's just interesting, and I like that. The KME, it's been a while between drinks for the KME, just because I haven't been doing that much of this lately, the steel testing. I've had other things going on. So let's get this guy tightened down, and we're going to put a 17-degree mirror polished edge on this knife, and then we're going to do a rope cut test and see how it goes. It's got a an odd shape for this sort of sharpening. It's sort of a long flat and then just a very tiny belly there. So you know what? Let's being true with this being a skinny knife, it does have a tiny belly. Alrighty, let's get sharpening. All right, so that's a pretty good edge. I did put a bit of a smile on the end of it, just near the start of the blade, because frankly, I was watching professional Street Fighter, high-level Street Fighter 5 play on the Capcom World Tour. So, got a very nice 17-degree polished edge on the Kizer Squidward. Let's see how this 154 cm goes. As you just remember in my steel test, I just cut twisted sisal rope until a knife no longer easily slices a sheet of paper. This is the best test that I can approximate to do in my home to check if steel is good and to roughly categorize it. That being said, this one has a very small belly, so I will be cutting on the belly, and it's probably got a little bit less space than I would normally use to do like the rolling push cut that I do. But at any rate, backyard science at its best. Let's see if the 154 cm steel is any good. All right, 225. So 225 seems a little lower to me than usual, but I think that is accounting for the fact that my cut is using less of the knife length than I would normally, just due to the blade and belly shape. I think overall the steel is good, and that's a respectable amount of cuts for a non-powdered steel, but I feel like if the belly was a little bit more swooping, it would be able to do better. Now that's regarding how it performs in this specific test, and probably not equating as much to real world use as perhaps this test normally does, or at least not as comparable to the other knives that I perhaps have tested lately, or since I've been doing the 17-degree mirror polished edge testing, so last 4 years or so. That's it. I think the steel is still good. I'm happy to say the steel is good. One thing I'd probably do without is the lanyard sort of hole. One of the scales extends slightly longer to a lanyard hole. It's like a crescent-shaped lanyard hole. And while it does take a piece of 550 cord, as you see, it only just takes it. It's pretty tight. And yeah, there's just not a great deal of, room there, and it sort of flattens it down to like a shoelace, which might go not so well with a lot of the paracord related sort of bail and lanyard
artistry that goes on the internet. None of that is to my taste at all. I don't think I've ever, by my own choice, bought myself a lanyard anything. But yeah, so you can't really use paracord, and instead you need to settle for the shameful pro utility cord. I just need to get past the melted end. So yes, the shameful so yeah, a little bit more give on the utility cord, but I don't know about where you come from, but where I come from, the babes don't dig utility cord. The babes need paracord, or you don't get no babes at all. Alrighty, that's about the review. I hope it's been of value to you. I'd never even heard of this knife before. Maybe you'd never heard of it either, and maybe you'll see it now on the channel and be like, I've got similar knife tastes to Pete. And I guess the real endorsement that I can give you is that it's well made, it flips well, and it's a well-produced piece. And then the rest of it really is just up to you whether you like a front flipper and you like a narrow knife and you like the all black, and the rest of it's just kind of stylistic dalliances. So leave the rest in your court, but it's a well-made blade. Thank you to Kizer. I have 2 other knives. Actually, interesting, I thought, well, I'm getting these Kizer knives, and I always have a thing with the channel where I've got 3 Kizers, and I'm like, that's a lot of, to put all at once on the channel. It's like too much. And this will be it from Kizer for ages. I don't intend on, becoming like a hype channel or a showcase channel particularly. But the next video, to keep it interesting, my wife is gonna do it. I got 5 knives. I bought the other ones. And I thought she would choose the baby banter, but I had a choice of 5 knives for her. And she actually chose the mini Lat Vind out of all of them because it was her birthday. And I said, hey, choose a knife. And I bet she was like, thanks, this is the best birthday ever. But I was like, you choose a knife. And she chose the Lat Vind, which I thought, okay. And yeah, so she's gonna do the review on that. So look forward to that. It might be the next video or the one after or whatever. And the other one was the Laconico Yorkie Love Raise knives. So I chose that one too. So there we are. And then look for some other stuff coming up of knives that I've bought with my own money, which is still the bulk of the knives on the channel. So don't stress about that. I do just live and exist as a knife buyer like most other folks. Not rolling in free shit just yet, anyway. Nor do I want to. Puppy brain, just blame it on that. I gotta go. I'll see you in the next film. Goodbye. The dog has probably shat in the house and the kids are probably just looking at it like, someone's gonna do something about that.